At 89, Robert Redford admits he was the only one who could ever do that to him. Robert Redford was born Charles Robert Redford, Jr.B., on August 18, 1936, in Santa Monica, California. Over many years, he proved that he wasn't just a great actor but also a smart director, producer, and helper of others. His work went far beyond movies. From the start, Redford stood out. He had charm, rugged good looks, and a deep, kind energy that made people like him right away. His story isn't just about a talented entertainer, it's also about a man who always tried to use his fame to inspire others, tell important stories, and give chances to new people in Hollywood. Redford's early life had both hard times and lucky breaks. Growing up in Southern California, he loved sports, especially baseball, and for a while dreamed about being a pro player. But life pushed him another way. After high school, he went to the University of Colorado on a baseball scholarship, but school didn't go well and he dropped out. What could have felt like failure became a big turning point. He went to Europe, spending time in Paris and Florence, learning about art, culture, and new ideas. That trip woke up his love for creativity and storytelling. When he came back to the U.S., he took art classes at Brooklyn's Pratt Institute and acting lessons at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York. That's where his real career began to take shape. By the early 1960s, Redford started appearing on TV and stage shows. His natural charm and good looks made people notice him right away. He got small parts in shows like Maverick and The Twilight Zone, slowly building his name. His big stage moment came with Neil Simon's Barefoot in the Park in 1963, a role that later became a movie and made him famous. That part showed all his charm, funny, sweet, and romantic, and helped him become one of Hollywood's most loved stars as the 1960s turned into his golden movie years. The late 1960s and 1970 seconds made Redford a true Hollywood legend. His big break came in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid 1969, where he starred with Paul Newman. Their on-screen chemistry was amazing, and Redford's role as the Sundance Kid made him a star. Then came The Sting 1973, again with Newman. It won the Oscar for Best Picture and made Redford's reputation even stronger. He became known for playing smart, brave, and thoughtful characters in movies like The Candidate 1972, Jeremiah Johnson 1972, The Way We Were 1973, and All the President's Men 1976, which showed the true story of reporters uncovering the Watergate scandal. Each movie added depth to Redford's image, showing he wasn't just a handsome actor but a serious artist who tackled the big issues of his time. As the years went by, Redford didn't want to just act, he wanted to tell stories his own way. He started directing and quickly proved he was just as talented behind the camera. His first movie as a director, Ordinary People 1980, was a huge success. It won him an Oscar for Best Director and also took home Best Picture. The movie's honest look at a family dealing with pain showed how much Redford cared about deep, emotional stories. He went on to direct great films like A River Runs Through It 1992, Quiz Show 1994, and The Horse Whisperer 1998. All of them showed his love for strong characters and beautiful storytelling. But Redford's legacy isn't just about acting and directing. He also created the Sundance Institute and the Sundance Film Festival in 1981. What started as a small gathering in Utah became one of the biggest events for independent movies in the world. Redford wanted to give new filmmakers a chance to share their stories. His dream changed the movie world forever. Many famous directors and writers got their start thanks to Sundance. Because of that, Redford's name became a symbol of honesty, creativity, and support for true independent film. Robert Redford's personal life was also full of important moments. He had 2 major marriages, each marking a different part of his long and busy life. His first wife was historian and activist Lola Van Wagenen. They got married on August 9, 1958, in a quiet ceremony in Las Vegas, Nevada. At the time, Redford was just starting his career in the arts, and Lola was focused on her own studies and causes. Their marriage lasted almost 30 years full of happiness, pain, and shared experiences. They had 4 children together: Scott, Shauna Jean, David James, and Amy Hart. Their first son, Scott, sadly died of sudden infant death syndrome when he was only 2.5 months old. That loss deeply affected both of them and shaped how they saw life, love, and family. Even with the heartbreak, Redford and Lola stayed strong for their other children. As his fame grew, they worked hard to keep their family life grounded. Lola wasn't just a famous man's wife, she was smart and accomplished on her own. She cared deeply about history, education, and women's rights. She later became an activist for social justice and public education. Her strength and independence balanced Redford's creative and public life, but fame, travel, and their changing interests eventually created distance between them. After 27 years together, Redford and Lola divorced in 1985, ending one of Hollywood's longest marriages at that time. Still, they stayed respectful and close for the sake of their children. Years later, Redford found love again with Sybil Shaggers, a German-born painter and multimedia artist. They first met in the 1990s, and their bond grew slowly over time. They both loved art and cared deeply about nature. Sybil was known for her beautiful, nature-inspired art that matched Redford's passion for the environment and storytelling. Their relationship became both romantic and creative. They often appeared together at art and charity events. After more than 10 years together, they got married in July 2009 in a small, private ceremony at the Louis C. Jacob Hotel in Hamburg, Germany. It was a quiet wedding with only close friends and family, simple and heartfelt, just how they wanted. With Sybil, Redford entered a calmer, more peaceful time in his life. He stayed active in film and environmental work, but his marriage gave him a sense of balance and peace in his later years. Sybil was always by his side at movie festivals, Sundance events, and art or climate conferences. Her creativity fit perfectly with his lifelong love for nature and storytelling. At T89, Robert Redford, the legendary actor, director, and cultural icon, looked back on his life, his work, and the friendships that truly mattered to him. In an open and honest moment, he said something that surprised people who knew him for being quiet and private. "He was the only one who could do that to me." Redford was talking about his late friend and co-star Paul Newman, a man whose career and life were almost a mirror of his own. Redford's words weren't just about admiration, they were about real emotion, something he rarely shared publicly. Known for his calm and serious personality, Redford had always seemed distant, keeping his private feelings hidden. But with Paul Newman, things were different. Paul had this way of breaking through the walls. Redford once said, "He could make me laugh at myself even when I was being too serious. No one else could do that. He got through to me." The two first met when they were cast together in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid in 1969. At that time, Newman was already a big star, while Redford was still rising in Hollywood. Many people thought they might compete or not get along, but the opposite happened. They instantly clicked, both on screen and off. "I couldn't walk into a room with Paul and not feel his energy," Redford remembered. "He had this sparkle in his eyes that made you relax and stop taking yourself too seriously." The chemistry that people loved on screen was real. It came from respect and friendship. Their bond continued when they worked together again on The Sting in 1973, another hit that made them one of Hollywood's most famous duos. But their connection went deeper than acting. Off camera, they joked, played pranks, and shared a kind of brotherhood that was rare in the film world. "Paul loved teasing me," Redford said, smiling. "He'd pull pranks all the time, and I'd fall for them. He made me laugh like no one else could. That was his gift. He could reach the part of me I usually kept hidden." Over time, their careers went in different directions. Newman focused on acting, car racing, and charity work, while Redford worked on films, environmental causes, and Sundance. But their friendship never faded. They didn't need to talk every day. Their bond was strong enough to last through time and distance, even when we didn't speak for months. Redford said, "It felt like no time had passed when we met again." Paul had that effect, steady, human. When Newman passed away in 2008, Redford said he felt a deep emptiness. For someone who had faced fame, loss, and big challenges, losing Newman hit him hard. "I couldn't walk after I heard the news," Redford said softly. "It felt like losing a part of myself." Paul wasn't just a co-star, he was a guide. He reminded Redford who he really was when the world tried to push him another way. Even years later, Redford talked about Newman not as a memory, but as if he were still present. To him, Newman's spirit was alive in memory and heart. "He was the only one who could reach that hidden part of me," Redford said. "The only one who could make me laugh until my ribs hurt. The only one who could challenge me without a word. I'll always carry him with me." That kind of friendship doesn't end. It stays. It shapes you. It becomes part of who you are. At 89, Redford shared more than his bond with Newman. He revealed a truth everyone can relate to. Even the strongest, most private people need someone who truly sees them. For Redford, that person was Paul Newman, the only one who could do that to him. On September 16, 2025, the world lost Robert Redford. He passed away peacefully in his sleep at 89. His death happened at his beloved home in Sundance, Utah, a place that was much more than a house. It showed his life philosophy, creative ideas, and lasting legacy. Redford had loved the natural beauty and quiet of Sundance. He bought land there in the 1960s as a retreat from Hollywood stress. Over time, it became his personal sanctuary and the birthplace of the Sundance Institute and Sundance Film Festival. These institutions changed independent cinema and gave many young filmmakers a chance to share their stories. For him to pass away in the very place he built was fitting and poetic. The news of his death spread worldwide. Millions remembered Redford not just as an actor, director, or activist. He was a symbol of American creativity and strength. His good looks and charm made him a matinee idol in the 1960s and 1970 seconds with iconic movies like Butch Cassidy and The Sundance Kid, The Sting, and All the President's Men. But Redford's appeal went beyond looks. Fans admired how he balanced fame with principles, advocacy, and independent thinking. He brought intelligence, gentle humor, and real warmth to every role, making his characters timeless. Redford's performances weren't just about acting. They reflected his care for real life and people. He chose stories that mattered and characters that showed honesty, courage, and thoughtfulness through every role. He showed that movies could be both entertaining and meaningful. He inspired generations of actors, filmmakers, and fans around the world. Beyond the screen, Redford worked hard to protect the environment. He cared deeply about nature and used his fame to raise awareness about climate change and conservation. His efforts helped shape both the film industry and environmental activism. Redford's legacy also lives through the Sundance Film Festival. Countless new filmmakers got their start there, thanks to his vision and support. He made sure independent voices had a place to be heard, shaping modern cinema forever. Even after stepping away from acting regularly, Redford remained involved in film, art, and activism. He continued mentoring young artists, speaking at events, and supporting causes close to his heart. He blended creativity, purpose, and kindness in everything he did. For fans, colleagues, and friends, Robert Redford will always be remembered for his charm, talent, and the genuine warmth he showed to others. His life was a story of creativity, courage, and heart, and through it all, his friendship with Paul Newman stood out as one of the rare, deep bonds that defined him. He was the only one who could do that to him, a friendship that could make him laugh, challenge him, and reach the part of him few ever saw. Even in his final years, Redford carried that bond with him, a reminder of the power of connection and trust. Robert Redford's story is more than Hollywood fame. It is about love, loss, creativity, courage, and the people who touch your heart in ways no one else can. His life reminds us that talent, vision, and kindness can leave a mark that lasts long after the final curtain falls, and that mark through films, festivals, activism, and friendships will live on forever.